right there. All right.
Here we go. Welcome to episode 3 of the Kung Fu Discussion Group. Today we'll be discussing how assuming the basic posture of your martial art is you physically embodying the philosophy of your martial art. I'm Uncle Sickness. You can find me on Twitter at Sickness Kung Fu. My website, sicknesskungfu.com. With me, as always, is my disciple and homeboy, Alex. Introduce yourself again for the nice people.
You can find me at Maeko Uncle on Twitter. Or you can find me Maeko at sicknesskungfu.com on the website.
Excellent. Yes, here we are. Now, this is the first episode since you started posting your series on
yes, it is.
Ivan Throne's The Nine Laws, an excellent book that I can't recommend enough.
Yeah. I got my copy back here somewhere, but I won't reach and grab it. You'll pull yours. Yeah, there it is.
Laws.
It's back there somewhere in that pile of rubble. I started just putting down my thoughts, typing them out on each of the individual lessons of the 9 laws. There's 100 total lessons, but I'm going to finalize it with one final 101st lesson of just what I have learned from reading the 9 laws more than once. In fact, I'm about halfway through my second bit of reading through it. By the time I get to the 101st lesson, I'll definitely have read this book at least 3 times.
Always a positive. That's definitely a reread worthy book. I say it all the time, especially on Twitter, but the 9 Laws and the Zhuangzi are the only 2 books that if I finish them, but I'm not finished reading for the day, I'll immediately go back to the beginning and start it again and just continuously read through. I've lost count on what number read through I'm on right now, but yeah, it's that good. I enjoy it that much.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. I haven't gotten to Zhuangzi's works yet, but I'm working through one of the other books, and then once that's done, I finished this time through of Ivan Throne's 9 Laws, then I'll get started on that book.
Nice.
I still need to buy it.
It's either way. It's a great book to have. It's full of wonderful wordplay and fantastic images and hilarious characters. You know, a guy named No Toes because he got his toes amputated. A guy called Hunchback because he's got a hunchback. No lips. You know, various characters like that. The Ugly Woman. Fun stuff. It's a great book. But anyway, actually, it's a relevant point that we brought it up because it is one of the foundational works of philosophical Taoism, which is a huge inspiration on internal style martial arts, Xing Yi Chuan, Bagua Zhang, and Tai Chi Chuan.
Mm-hmm.
All 3 of them base their training philosophies on Taoist body cultivation principles. So training the chi, refining the spirit, that sort of thing. Those are the primary ideas involved in the training. And in a lot of ways, it's not explicitly stated in any of them, but to a greater or lesser degree, when you practice each of these styles, you are embodying different aspects of the general Taoist worldview, cosmology, and philosophy. So, as always, Xing Yi Chuan will be the primary example in this discussion, just because, you know, Xing Yi is my favorite. We both practice it.
It's lots of fun.
But Bagua Zhang also, it's in a similar but slightly different way. It will embody the Taoist ideas that underlie the style with the way that it assumes its basic posture for a turning palm, the core practice of the style. With Chai Chi Chuan, you know, the philosophy of the style is expressed more in the way you train and the way you apply it. But in the movements, you know, it's more like the training principles have been used to adapt relatively standard martial arts techniques and postures to better accommodate the worldview created by the philosophy. Whereas in Xingyi and Bagua, the very act of assuming the basic position is an enactment of the core of the philosophy. You can see this especially in Sun Lutang's works, the study of Xingyi boxing and the study of Bagua boxing. Two great books that I highly recommend to any martial arts enthusiast and any practitioner of Xingyi or Bagua.
I'll be acquiring those soon enough.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, there are free versions online. You know, if you search for Brennan translations, a site hosted by WordPress, the guy translates a lot of different martial arts manuals for Chinese martial arts. You know, multiple books by multiple authors covering all sorts of styles, Tan Tui, a bunch of different types of Tai Chi Chuan, multiple books on Xingyi Chuan. All of Sun Lutang's work is on there in English, which is great because for the most part, only his the main books that he wrote, the Xingyi and Bagua books I just mentioned, but also his book on his style of Tai Chi Chuan that he created, and his book on Bagua sword. Those are the only ones that you can really get in English. He also wrote a fifth book that's all anecdotes, you know, things he heard from his teachers and older generation teachers, stories about the people in the lineages of, that he was a part of, and a lot of like basic ideas about martial arts in general and internal martial arts specifically. There's also another, you know, in addition to the 4 martial books, this 5th anecdote philosophy book, there's also a 6th post on the site that's sort of like a couple of essays that he wrote that are relevant, that are collected together and translated. So there's a nice selection of Sun's work there. I recommend it to anybody. I'll put a link in the description when the video goes up on YouTube, and I can actually send that to you as well.
Awesome.
So before we get super heavy, how's your training been going? Have you had a chance to practice Xingyi much over the last few days?
A little bit. I was able to I was just working on just getting into the stance, but seeing as how just all this moving around has been just getting in the way of stuff. I'll definitely be doing some later when this is over, when this moving bit is done. I was practicing the we were going over last time the hands were kind of the palms were out rather than the fingers, and I could get almost a fairly noticeable difference when I either had the palms out or had the fingers straight out.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure how I can articulate it, but it definitely felt different. As far as just the I guess the manner of the difference between the two.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could say that it's like I wanted to reach out and grab my opponent if there was an opponent there, or yes. Just kind of more relaxed. I guess I could describe this one compared to this one.
Yeah,
because I keep my fingers straight like that.
Yeah. Sun was the Sun Lutang was the that introduced the, settled wrists, fingers pointing straight up as opposed to pointing forward variation in Santi-Share.
Mhm.
My hands away from the microphone. He said it was to keep the chi circulating inside the body as opposed to projecting out. So training Xingyi as a martial art, you want to have those fingers pointing forward toward the enemy that you're visualizing, so that you have the habit of whenever you put your hands up, everything's forward. Xingyi has a document called 7 Advancings. So it's the idea of like you always want to be driving forward, even if you're dodging, laterally or diagonally or retreating backward. You don't think of it as a retreat. You don't think of it as giving up ground. You think of it as I'm advancing in reverse, if that makes any sense. No matter which side, no matter which direction you face, no matter what direction you're moving in, it's always advancing. The direction you're moving is forward and you're advancing forward. So if we're facing each other and you start to overwhelm my defense, you're coming in harder and faster than I can handle, I'll try to get away. It's not a withdrawal. I'm not running away from you. That's not how I think about it. I think about it as I am advancing away from you more quickly than you are advancing toward me, to give myself some breathing room.
I see.
Set up an opportunity to re-advance, retake the initiative, and return the favor.
Makes sense. I think the French would have something to say about that.
Who cares what they think?
Right?
Yeah.
Dudes had a white flag for a national flag.
They might as well. I'll just expand that middle white section of the flag to just kind of take up 98%. One little 1% on either side of the other colors. That'll be fine. That works for them.
Yeah. But then as you're advancing in reverse, you can do the Bagua come in through the back door.
That's true. That's true. Xingyi Xingyi's capable of that, but with a preference on its strategy is more geared toward ending fights quickly and with extreme finality, if you know what I mean. You may recall from multiple conversations we've had, and I believe this is in the last video as well, when I hit someone in the chest, I want them to spit up blood. Is a Xingyi idea.
Yeah.
If you're broken inside, or your nose has been smashed in, or you've been hitting the solar plexus and you can't breathe, and or you've passed out from it, you're not going to attack me anymore, and I'm therefore safe. So it's very much in keeping with Xingyi's characterization as a military or militaristic type of martial art, as opposed to like the Shaolin martial arts and their derivatives and styles that they've influenced, really heavily weighted with like Buddhist ethics and morality and stuff like that. Xingyi is more practical. It's more of the idea of I don't want to die, so you got to get hurt.
You're gonna have to die.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. So you're gonna have to. If somebody dies, it's gonna be you.
Yeah.
Is the mentality. So you really, it's not necessarily Taoist per se, but
more realistic.
You can see it. Yeah, you can still see in the way Santi-Share is aligned, with the hands and feet, everything being kind of compact and relatively closed, guarding the center, the central line, the core of your body. That's a really big idea in Xingyi. So Santi-Share is set up in a way where you can see it's not just defensive, it's not just closed and protective. It's a triangle, but kind of slanted and geared very sharply toward the opponent. You know,
I see.
protected, but I form a strong iron wedge
Mm.
to force into the opponent's guard. Get at that core, that center line. You know, I keep my center protected. I open your center up. That's the idea.
I see.
So the motions of assuming Santi-Shur really exemplify the Taoist ideas that underlie the training philosophy of the art. And the finished product, the Santi-Shur form or position, really lays out the martial ideas and philosophy of the style. Everything's forward. I'm always advancing. Hit them hard, hit them fast. You know, punch them in the dead center of something. If your face is what's exposed, it's the dead center of the face. Your chest is what's exposed, it's the dead center of your chest.
Mm-hmm.
If you keep both of those closed off, well, there's only one other place to go, if you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Dead center of that too. Anything.
And then just watch them crumble.
Yeah. And if you come in on a diagonal on the side, you know, those ideas still apply. You know, you would hit them in the ribs, floating ribs on the side of the rib cage or the liver on the right side. So all very good targets. And if you did somehow manage to take somebody's back, the kidneys are back there. So there are some nice targets. And there's also the back of the head, which you have to be careful with because you never know. Somebody could die. Their neck might be that weak, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
That's the neck soil.
It's just going like this.
Yeah.
What's that? There's this bit where this part of the neck is just so weak, like they're just all hunching over like this.
Yeah.
Because they're all taking their phones and just doing this bullshit.
Yeah.
But you know, not all human beings are, you know, shut up.
The hilarious thing is people have been doing that for 30 years. You know, I think about when I was in high school and college, and people still had that. It's like, but there were no smartphones.
Yeah.
The internet wasn't as prevalent. So
yeah.
why are you hunching like that? It's like, what are you hiding a sweatshirt up there, or like, you know, on your shoulders? You need a neck brace or something like that? What's going on?
Yeah. I don't know, but these muscles just get stupid weak. And then when they go to like do this, then all of a sudden like, oh, but then the neck gets tired and then I have to go back like this.
Yeah, there was a certain individual that worked with me at the Gardner before you got there. When I'd recovered from cat scratch fever and sepsis, but before the resulting Crohn's disease had kicked in, you know, when I got over the bacterial infections of 2019, I went from, you know, not like super hunched over with weakness hands like I was at the height of Crohn's disease, but just a little bit hunched. At the time, it was a huge noticeable difference from my normal posture. You know, as I started to get better, started to go back up to full health, you know, my shoulders started to sit right, chest started to expand.
Mm-hmm.
So this goofball, he's like, I don't really like the way you've been standing lately. What are you talking about? You're holding your head up high and you're sticking your chest out. Well, what are you showing off? I'm like, no. Like, this is sticking my chest out. This is what you're describing. This is, I'm fucking bigger than you. So mad. But then again, you know, he resented me because I wouldn't use my power to attract blonde-haired, blue-eyed, gullible white girls to supply him with unlimited blonde-haired, blue-eyed, gullible white girls. But why would I do that when all you do is insult me, you know?
Yeah. Fucking people.
Yeah, right. Incidentally, that individual is the inspiration for the famous character from my webcomic known as the Nite Grundeler.
Oh my god, we gotta have a different discussion about that, or we can go on a tangent here. We gotta have like separate like shenanigan chats about
Oh, definitely
the comics. and then just pop up like just quick images of the images that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Go over the biography of the Nite Grundeler.
Oh my God.
He
What's
hides
in the
in a grill
biography?
cave
I
every
mean,
year.
he talks like Curly from the Three Stooges. Always wears a bandito mask. And he really likes to grundle people, especially against their will. It's a pretty short bio.
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
then we can go over everyone that he's grundled, and then who he plans on grundling later.
it's dangerous though. I mean, he's like Freddy Krueger, you know? You spend too much time thinking about him, he's gonna come get you in the dreamscape.
Oh my God.
Back to more martial arts related topics. Yeah, Xing Yichuan moves generally in straight lines. The primary characteristic of its footwork is it's called inch stepping, but not not a U.S. inch, but the Chinese inch, the kun, the length of the last section of your thumb. That's one kun. So the idea, just like if you watch great Western style boxers, watch Mike Tyson in one of his old fights, how he moves forward. You'll notice that's very similar to Xing Yi's footwork, or the footwork of any effective, competent fighter. Shuffling, staccato movements. That's how you move around in a fight. It's a game of inches, as they say. And as it's been pointed out by a lot of people in a lot of different mediums, the safest place in a fight is right up on top of your opponent. We're both bigger guys. I don't know how much experience you have with fighting people that are significantly to greatly shorter than you, but for most guys our size, power is all the way out there at the full extension. So if somebody can get inside the mid forearm, most people over 6 feet are doomed, unless you have the short game, elbows and knees, or you learn how to generate short power, which Xing Yi's power is pretty short. It's a mid to short range style compared to a lot of other styles. Some styles specialize in long range. Some styles specialize in short range. Some in mid range. Your background in Aikido, Aikido is definitely a short to close range style.
Yep.
I'm sure the preference for most Aikido guys would be not even short range, but close range, like to actually let's start in contact. That way I can definitely get you.
Yeah, when I was training when I was much smaller, I was training with other children that were about my height. We were always starting off really, really close. Sometimes like in it starts with a grab, or it starts with a cross grab, or it starts with a thrust or something like that, and we're always like fairly close. So yeah, I can definitely get that. I like that a lot in Xing Yi. It's mid to close range where you just get really tight.
It's hard for people to understand in some ways. Dead air. I pause because I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. A lot of people think, not really consciously, it's unconscious, because you see little kids do it, but adults do this as well. And a lot of trained, so-called experienced martial artists will do this. Oh, hold on a sec. There's this sort of unconscious tendency to think of the simplest possible mechanical action for generating force in a strike.
Yep.
More distance traveled will mean more power. That's not how it works. They use that rock throwing analogy. That doesn't work with throwing a rock. It's not going to work with throwing a punch either. You know, we've both also seen the tough guys that believe in the unlimited power of rage. You know, Goku and Vegeta might stress and strain and flex all of their muscles to go Super Saiyan, but you know, humans do not have the ability to go super dickhead. So if you strain that much, all you're going to do is mess your pants. You're not going to get stronger. Tension wastes energy, which depletes stamina and strength. That's why the internal styles are also characterized as soft martial arts. Why are they soft? You're not holding a tensed position. Even in an external style, even in a hard style, a Shaolin style, karate styles, you'll see they don't stand tensed the whole time. You'd be exhausted before you ever actually engaged with another person who did that. So the softness of the power is rooted in softness of the body, which again, a core underlying idea, tenet of the style. So when you assume Santi-share, you know, it's not real sharp, real brisk, fast motions. You're very kind of gentle. It's measured, but it's continuous. Water is always soft, but it can gently, lazily flow, or it can crash in a turn. And there's really nothing inherent to the water itself that makes it do one or the other of those things, or anything in between. External circumstances kind of focus and gather. You know, the strategic, dynamic, situational positioning is what really causes it to act that way. So
flowing stream or crashing tsunami.
Yeah. So the idea is, because you want to Santi-share is the core of Xingyi Chuan. It's the foundation and the root of it all. We've said this before. The reason you want to be so calm and cool, you know, relaxed and flowing in the way you assume the position, is you're kind of programming your body to always move that way. Centered, calm, balanced, rooted. You know, your root goes deep down into the earth, like the roots of a tree. You're not floating duckweed, like they say. So one of the other things you're doing is sort of giving yourself a post-hypnotic suggestion, in one sense. So whenever you train Xingyi Chuan, you're going to train in a particular way. Soft, but focused. Relaxed, but, you know, connected. Whenever you have to use it, you'll also assume that sort of state. So you're minding your own business, walking down the street at night, a couple of punks come out to try and mug you, you've got to use your skills. So real quickly, you know, you might find yourself instinctively assuming a Santi-like position with your, you know, guarding your center line, protecting yourself, lowering your body, keeping those hands up to protect the groin, the crotch, the throat, the eyes. You'll also enter a calm state of mind, you know. You won't be overwhelmed by the shock of somebody coming up to you and taking a swing out of nowhere, or standing in front of you and saying something tough and threatening. And that's tough with 2 Fs. So the initial position of standing straight up, sort of at a, you know, an attention-like stance. If you follow Sun Lutang's breakdown, That's the Wuji position, the empty, nothing, void position. That's the real place that every martial art starts from.
Mhm.
That's the symbol for you're walking down the street minding your own business. You're standing there minding your own business. You're sitting there minding your own business. You're not fighting. You're just whatever you were doing before. In the context of practice, it's the moment where you sort of let go anything that's been nagging you mentally. Stop thinking about whatever you were thinking about before you started to train. Bring yourself back into your body. Relax that breathing, that weight, the weight and the chi centered in the dantian in your core, and mentally focus on practice.
It's something that was actually going through my head when I was practicing the stances a little bit. It's no hard feelings, but I'll kill you.
Yeah, and you say it like that when you reach competence in any martial art, but especially in Xing Yi. It's, I don't want to, but I will. Just like that, and then there's that pause of what are we gonna do? I'm not dying, so your choice. There's a saying in Chinese martial arts. Tai Chi Chuan takes 10 years before it leaves the training hall. Xing Yi has killing power in 1. And that's really a really nice, really concise way of laying it out.
Mm-hmm.
Tai Chi takes a lot. It's easy to say, oh, use soft to overcome hard. What does that mean? What does it mean to use soft tactics to overcome hard, aggressive tactics? The hardest part is learning to keep that calm, relaxed, centered sort of internal state that I actually just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
If every time there's a fight, you get all fired up and start huffing and puffing, breathing through your mouth, flaring your nostrils, eyes bugging out, clenching at least the face and the neck, what are you going to do? You're not going to use any style of Tai Chi Chuan, even the harder styles, the harder variations, like, Chen style, second form, the cannon fist, that's sharp, hard, fast in demonstration. Most people that think of Tai Chi Chuan, it's the slow motion, old people moving very slowly and, yeah, Chen style has a form that's like that. The first row, the long fist. Second form, cannon fist. It's all elbows and knees and shoulders and fucking people up, really quick, grabbing the arm and snapping it the wrong way, punching somebody in the neck or the crotch, especially in the crotch. But like other styles of Tai Chi Chuan, Yang style, Sun style, Wu style, both Wu styles because there's 2 different Wus. You don't see that. You just see that first, the lower type of movements,
Did you ever see that? Did you ever see that? That video of the Tai Chi guy. There was some Tai Chi guy went up against some new Muay Thai guy, and he went like this, and he assumed the position, and the dude just walked up to him, just clocked him straight in the face. He got him on the ground, just started wailing on his face.
Oh yeah, that famous. That guy's it was a mixed martial arts, like a pro fighter who also trained other fighters.
Mm-hmm.
He just was one of those semi-autistic Asperger syndrome type of people who just, he didn't have any time for the old fancy classical styles, he's one of those people I would characterize, 80% forehead. No, martial arts is about fighting. It's about fighting. So he just issued an open challenge to any traditional martial artist of any style. Oh, I'll kick your ass. Your style's fake. I'll punch you in the face. Right. So that particular guy, that Tai Chi guy, he was a master, and he had made certain claims. As it turns out, the video that we're talking about, that Tai Chi guy got his ass kicked. You can see. I mean, it's we've already talked about this fight longer than the actual fight has gone on, and we're not even 5 minutes on this subject. This thing was over. They put their hands up. The MMA guy came in, racked him right in the mouth. Taiji guy was like, oh. It almost looked like he wanted to say, "You're not allowed to do that," but definitely allowed to do that. He got his ass kicked. One of the reasons it's not bad. One of the reasons that the MMA guy isn't a bully or a jerk or a big meanie, it's that Taiji guy said he had magic fucking powers from practicing Taiji. I can change the universe with my mind, and dude, you can't even stop a guy with a fat head from punching you in the mouth. So.
Oh my god. Oh, they totally deserved it then.
Yeah. Oh, that guy. He embarrassed that Taiji teacher so much that the government in China almost destroyed his career. They shut his
the mixed martial arts guy.
Yeah, he wasn't allowed to fight. He wasn't allowed to his business was temporarily suspended. He's back and he's beat up on a couple others. There's another video of him floating around from relatively recently of him versus a Wing Chun guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that the Wing Chun guy was incompetent to the same degree, or this Wing Chun guy was a lot better than the Taiji guy. But you can just see the first time he got hit, I forget if it was a body shot or a face shot, but the first time he really got a solid hit laid on him, he kind of, not that he physically tensed up, you could just see in his head that he was stuck in that moment, and that was it for him. He lasted a lot longer than the Taiji man, though, which is a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, Taiji is one of those things that, if you're not super talented and a genius, if you aren't physically talented at martial arts and a martial arts genius in terms of the mindset, you have no business trying to use that style because you won't be able to. It's not for regular people to defend them. Its strategy is civilian self-defense. I don't want to hurt you. I'll use a joint lock to restrain you. I don't want to let you hurt me, so I'll use, I'll destabilize you and knock you away. Don't, let's not fight. That's the idea behind it. But like I said, Xingyi is more militaristic.
Yep.
If you attack a military target, they're gonna kill you. If you attack a Xingyi man, he's gonna make you spit up blood, either because he punched you in the mouth that hard, or because he punched you in the chest that hard, or if you're unlucky, because he stomped you in the dick that hard.
Oh my god, I can see it already. Just a foot coming down on someone's crotch, and they're just it's like it's the only damage that went straight to the nuts.
One of the documents in the Xingyi manual is about 5 jins, refined powers. One of them is stamping jin, and it's obviously heavily employed by the feet and legs. The image that they use in that document is stamping is like squashing a poisonous insect. So if you saw a venomous millipede or a big ass spider coming at you, what are you gonna do?
Stomp on it.
Bam. Right. Well, that guy's throat is a big ass millipede. That guy's dick is a tiny millipede. What are you gonna do? You're gonna stomp it. Exactly. And as you learn, once you start learning the routines, the solo routines of Xingyi, you'll identify that energy immediately. It's fun too, because it makes that nice stomp noise. But when you get really good at it, it doesn't make a noise. There's just this vibration that people near you feel. There's this vibration they see in your leg when you do it. Doesn't look like much. Really advanced, well-trained martial arts, they're not going to look like much to a sucker, to an amateur, to a non-martial artist. But the people that know, they're going to be like, ooh. Comic book style. What is this feeling? That's fuck you upness.
Yeah, I actually, speaking of energy, Um, I looked over briefly The Root of Chinese Qigong by Dr. Yang in
Excellent book.
one of my books. Yeah, I never ever finished reading that book, and I need to sit down and finish it. It's probably gonna be my next third on the list. I was they were going over the I was just reading over the bit where he goes over the characteristics of qi, and it flows like water and it burns like almost like a candle or a flame.
Yeah.
And then it feels like tingly like an electric shock almost, but it flows like a current, like an electric current. And I was kind of like thinking about it and I guess meditating on it at this point. And it was that paired with the bits that I've been reading on the website that you've written, and the other stuff that I've seen, just as far as martial arts go. Again, I'm not sure how I can articulate this, but it's starting to make a lot more sense to me. Let me see if I can take a swig at this. So back with the hands of Santishir, the conserving the chi, letting the chi flow back into the body, or using it to shoot somebody in the face. I'm only getting this now, actually. The epiphany is hitting me. It's just like, oh, that's how that works.
Excellent.
I'm not even sure if I can add any more words to that, but I just looked at my hands for a moment and, oh, that's what you meant every single one of those times when with hitting people with the chi. It's like
yeah, it does it. One way to think about chi is it's not an object because it doesn't have form. But for some reason, it does have mass.
I see.
So you do feel it. And when it's focused enough, even a really insensitive person, because some people are, just like some people are born with eyes that don't work or ears that don't work, there are people who are born with limited or lessened tactile capability. There are some people that are just insensitive. And it's not the insensitive of like a really healthy, physically fit, strong person is kind of oblivious to extremes of heat or cold, sudden changes and stuff like that. It's more of the, these people aren't going to feel you coming. If they can't see you, they're not going to know that you're coming. Whereas with some people that are real sensitive, even if you're 10 feet behind them, if you stand behind them, they're going to immediately turn and be like, well, what are you doing back there?
Yeah.
So with some people, the basic chi sensing exercise that we've talked about, the solo version where you practice, emitting chi from your palms yourself, making a little ball and trying to feel your own chi. They can't do that. It doesn't mean anything to them. It would literally just be them standing there like this going. And if you're in a class setting where there are multiple people practicing a skill like that, you'll always see one or two people that just don't have it. It doesn't come naturally to them. The two-person version where one of us does that, we both close our eyes and the other person passes their hand in between the first person's hand. That's two types of sensing. You're trying to sense anything that passes through chi that you're projecting. If you're the one making a ball. if you're the other person passing one hand through, what you're trying to do is sense chi being released or projected by another person.
I see.
And some people are better at one, some people are better at the other. Every so often you meet somebody who's talented or just sort of naturally predisposed to this sort of thing. They'll be pretty good at both.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where you really start to notice qualities of chi. So when they talk about Jin, the refined forces, Xingyi, Bagua, and Taiji are all soft compared to a style like Baji Chuan, compared to, you know, Shaolin's Hong Chuan, compared to most of the southern styles. They're soft in comparison to that in the terms of the force that they generate. Because it's not force generated by big motions or muscular tension. It's force generated by the weight interacting with the earth through gravity and structure and mechanics and kind of a dynamic interplay. But they'll talk about the energy, the chi of the styles. Xingyi is always described as hot compared to hottest compared to Bagua and Taiji, and it is, because when you start to practice the Xingyi way, you're gonna get hot at first. Like, you know, if you're unhealthy, if you're weak, if you're a beginner with not a lot of martial arts experience, you will be drenched in sweat going through a good Xingyi workout at first, and that lessens as you get more experience, but it never completely goes away. You know, unless you're doing it super soft old man style, putting no force into it, using no real speed, you're always going to get at least a little bit of a miss done.
I see.
So the energy is very fiery. Taiji's is really watery. It's really cool. It's really relaxed. Even when you do it, you know, with a martial intent, it's still the whole thing. It's like water moving around, you know, swirling vortexes, spirals, whirlpools, and eddies, and all that. Xingyi's like a firecracker, like a cannonball, like a bullet. Bam, bam, bam. Hot, explosive. Bagua's different. It can be hot, it can be cool. It's like a thunderstorm in a lot of ways. Like, could be very wet, could be very flowing, very, you know, like wind, like water, swirling, turning, you know, or it can be sharp and sudden and explosive, like the lightning bolt. Bam. So, in a lot of ways, Bagua's a nice middle ground between the two extremes of Xingyi and Taiji. But in other ways, with Xingyi, the practice, like Santi-Shur is the most overt embodiment of Taoist ideas. But in Baguazhang, it isn't just assuming that posture. It's also walking the circle. It's also changing the pattern. Like, everything about Bagua really overtly, really heavily demonstrates Taoist ideas and the ideas of the Book of Changes, where the Bagua, the 8 signs or 8 trigrams come from. So for embodying the philosophy, you know, Bagua is probably the best. Not just of these 3 styles, which are very philosophical and very much about embodying a greater philosophy in practice. It's out of every martial art. It embodies the highest ideals of Chinese thought in a lot of ways. The Chinese, of course, really prefer Taiji Chuan because it a philosophy that it embodies, like we said before. It embodies their like social and moral and ethical ideas.
I see.
In a martial art.
And
Civilian self-defense. I don't want to hurt you, but I don't want you to hurt me.
yeah.
Please don't hurt me. Don't make me hurt you. You restrain somebody. Let's end this now before it goes too far. Whereas he is, I'll kill you. Real casual. Bagua is, I don't want to kill you, but I'll definitely kill you.
Mm-hmm. Isn't there I'm not too familiar with Chinese social order per se, but aren't they, this is just from what I've heard from when I was studying Chinese as a language, Mandarin specifically, as far as social norms are considered, generally everyone follows the same. I mean, this is with every culture, but everyone's following the same exact rules, and no one's deviating off and doing their own thing.
Yeah,
it's very non. I don't want to say hive mind, because that sounds just like this isn't the Borg or something, but like it's they all have a set of rules that you have to follow no matter what, and deviating off in your
well, it's the Confucian social order, you know. Mm-hmm. Everybody conforms to the norms to a greater or lesser degree.
I see.
And you know, Westerners and Americans especially can sit there and pretend that we don't conform, but that's a load of bullshit.
Yeah.
As you can see now, you know, that George Carlin joke, you know, he made in the 90s. Oh, back when I was young, he says, we used to get tattoos and pierce our ears to piss off the squares. Now the squares are the ones doing that. But it's even more so now in 2019. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a meme you may have seen floating around the internet. There's a guy in a business suit minding his own business with a briefcase. He's surrounded by a bunch of dorks dressed like 80s punk rockers, you know, mohawks dyed different colors, leather jackets, lots of piercings and tattoos.
Yeah.
All these look-alike dorks. One of them's pointing at the business guy going, hey, everybody, look at this conformist. Who's really conforming?
Yeah.
You know, that whole thing. Nowadays, you're pretending to be an individualist. Pretending to be an individualist is the highest level of conformity. If you're talking about individuality versus conformity openly, you're basically a conformist, because that's fake. You know, actions speak louder than words, a lot of people say, and I definitely believe that. If you were really an individualist, you wouldn't be telling me you're an individualist. You'd be going out doing different things than everybody else around you. So
yeah,
it's a tough situation. You know, everybody else in the martial arts world, when Xing Yi came up, everybody else was doing a lot of, you know, everybody was doing these grand motions, these big arm things, these, yes, I am associated with Shaolin. And then there's Magic Fist Lee. Bam! Right in the fucking nose. Those guys, oh God, and they go down. You know, they're showing martial morality influenced by Confucianism and Buddhism. You know, I am a virtuous. No. Magic Fist Lee was a bodyguard and a caravan escort. If you're trying to fight me, it means you want to hurt me. So I'll fucking kill you. Very simple. I'm not going to die. How about you? Bagua Zhang also has a background in
security work.
Security, but it's more of like property protection, like a facility guard or a house guard, bodyguard type of thing.
Yeah.
As you well know, Bagua is really well suited for dealing with large groups using dog pack tactics and small weapons like knives or clubs to attack you all at once. You move all around and you dust them all up real quick. You know, you leave them on the ground holding their crotch in their throat. Easy. You take their knife away, stab them in their own knee or something like that, you know, real simple. Where Xingyi would just be, Xingyi is the unarmed martial arts equivalent of having a gun. Person closest to you, bang, next person, bang, next person, bang. Put them all down, lay them all out. If he dies,
oh well.
Yeah. But as I was saying, it really, Bagua really, in all aspects of its practice, will demonstrate really, really advanced Taoist philosophical ideas, the way that it moves, why it moves that way, how it uses the body. It's much more, excuse me, mechanically, structurally, it's much more advanced than Xingyi Chuan. Much more advanced than Tai Chi Chuan. Tai Chi Chuan has, like I said, it's more of a way of thinking about fighting and thinking about timing. Whereas Xingyi Chuan is about efficiency. I'm going to be efficient. I'm going to be compact. I'm going to demolish you. Bagua, I'm going to be better than you. That's the idea. So you see, like, regular people have a lot of trouble with Bagua. You're either going to be really talented, really smart, or really dumb to learn Bagua well. Because if you're a regular person asking lots of irrelevant questions and a couple good questions, you're just going to get lost, you know? Bagua is definitely very Taoist in the sense that more so than any other martial art I've encountered. Don't ask, you know. With Xingyi, when I'm teaching someone how to do an exercise, you know, I'm teaching someone how to assume Santi-share, don't ask any questions until I'm done, and I say, do you have any questions? With Bagua, it's don't talk for 3 months. I don't want to hear, unless you're asking me where the bathroom is in this place or what time we're finishing, I don't want to hear your voice while we're practicing because you literally cannot say anything relevant on the topic. You just need to do this until you start to feel it. And I'll know when you start to feel it because you'll either go, oh, or that face where people are like, that I get it face. You know, you were just making that face a few minutes ago about the key, and you know, but that's.
And it took what, maybe a couple days for me to get that?
It'll be obvious when a person gets Bagua. And if there's somebody that needs to look smart, if there's somebody who self-identifies as smart, i.e. a regular person, no. Why are you talking? Don't talk. That's why I have the stick. You've seen that before, right? The bamboo.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You've never hit me with that stick.
Because you don't do stupid shit the way most people do. You've never asked me a dumb question because you've only asked like 5 questions.
Yeah, when we were working at the gardener together, for I think for the entire time I was working the day shift, that stupid part-time shift that I had to do, I didn't ask any questions. Like, not even to where the bathroom was, because that was not hard to find. And then I got moved moved up the notch. Now I'm in the PM. I still didn't ask any questions. And then like 3-4 months into the job, then I started asking questions all of a sudden. Like, so what about X, Y, and Z? And then you're like, well, let me tell you the story of blah blah.
Yes.
And then it continued on with that's where you first taught me the chi ball stuff, which I was doing all the time. I do it less frequently now, but now I'm gonna get back into it more because that was actually, I'm remembering now how that was so much fun. I'm gonna keep doing that more.
Yeah, and just wait until you start to get the way practicing Xingyi, will affect your chi is going to make that exercise a lot more interesting and fun.
Ooh.
Yeah, my natural talent for chi kind of stuff, like my inborn ability, means well, most people are doing the chi ball like this. I was doing it like this from the beginning. But after 3-4 years of Xingyi, that's where I got to doing a giant giant one as wide as my shoulders and stuff.
Yeah.
So you'll see it it'll kind of speed up that development process. I've made a couple of comments to a couple of people that I know who are semi-familiar with this sort of thing. Differentiating chi by quality. Is somebody's chi light? Is it heavy? Is it hot? Is it cold? Does it have a sharp feel? Does it have a soft feel? Does it have a static electrical feel? Does it have mine? If you've ever played with magnets or been around a lot of magnetism, my chi feels kind of like that. There's a little bit of an electrical quality to it, but it mostly feels like, why does it feel like somebody is just pressing something?
Mm-hmm.
It feels like some people's, it'll feel like if you've ever stood, within 5 feet of a fire, that radiant heat. With some people, you'll feel this sort of, it's not heat like a fire, it's not heat like a sun lamp, it's not heat like the sun, but it's heat like the sun. There's this quality to it that you can tell. And then there's the conditional quality. You'll be able to, when you get better, usually, actually, what I'm about to say, this will usually come first. You'll usually be able to tell if somebody is healthy or sick. That's like the first type of information you'll start to get through chi.
Mm-hmm.
And as you get better, you start to notice, qualities, and that's where you get the elemental typing type stuff. If you're using the 5 elements, is this person a wood type? Is this person a fire type? Is that But it's not like
putting two together.
Yeah, right. It's not the last Airbender cornballness, even though that's sort of the thing that inspired some of their ideas. But it's it's real. It's just not what people think it is. So
Yeah.
you don't need to be able to feel. You don't need to be able to feel my chi to look at my body and tell. Long, thin limbs and torso. A lanky person. What does that tell you? There's also the body. You can body type people. You can, like Ivan Throne says, physiognomy is real. It is real, unfortunately. You can't. It's not real in the sense of like all whites are intelligent and all. No, it's not like that. But if someone looks like a fucking dumb mouth breather, they're probably a dumb mouth breather. I mean, there's always that 1% chance that this person is a brilliant actor and they've manipulated you in a very cunning and deft way. But chances are, if you see a motherfucker with empty eyes walking around on a hunch like we were trying, they're probably a fucking dumbass. If you see somebody who's in an air-conditioned room and they're sweating, they're probably out of shape and unhealthy. So it's real in that sense, which it's no problem for you being somebody that regularly exercises, but I'm sure at your job you've seen more than a few people.
Oh my God! Don't even get me started. Oh.
Yeah, it's nice. My current job, working in a machine shop, basically, it's nice. When I see an unhealthy person, it just means that they smoke, or they're middle-aged or older, or both.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing anybody walking down the street that's got like pushing 56% body fat.
Have you ever heard of the TSA pear shape?
No, but I have a really, really strong suspicion that I can guess what it is. Why don't you tell me about it?
Seeing as I work in an airport and I see the TSA employees all the time, when they're walking to their checkpoint, a lot of them, TSA wears blue uniforms.
Yeah.
It's like half of them are like the dudes they're just, it's awful. It's awful. It's so bad. I feel so bad for some of those folks that work for that place. But then there's, it gets worse when I'm wearing a pair of shorts and I'm sweating to death, and it's like I'm running around doing my job. I'm moving boxes and another carriage and these huge giant suitcases. That's what giant suitcases that people bring in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at these TSA employees. I'm sweating to death, and I'm not really moving much. I haven't even really started my shift yet. But I'm looking around, and I'm seeing these guys wearing coats. What the fuck? Why? Why? And then I walk past the checkpoint every so often, and there they are. They're wearing coats, and they're cold, and it's really hot. And I don't understand why this is happening, but it is. And I'm like, I'm at like now normal body temperature. I'm not cold. I'm not sweating to death yet.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, why? And then I go outside in the snow, and the snow has ended, unfortunately, and I'm mildly sad about it. But I'm like, oh, go outside in a t-shirt and a pair of pants, and there's all these people wearing full-on Arctic gear, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? There is less than an inch of snow on the ground. Why are you wearing like you're going to the Arctic?
Yeah.
Climbing Mount Everest? What's going on? Where's the extra air that you got in the ski mask and stuff and the stuff you cover your face? Like, why?
Yeah. All these people. It's cold outside. No, it's not. You just have poor circulation and you're fat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was looking at some of those people. I was just like, but what really gets me is the people that travel to the airport. So I'm going by and I'm seeing all these people. They're going to the checkpoint, and it's getting warmer outside. It's April, and these people are wearing their down coats. And I'll go outside and I'll go across the street and find the Dunkin' Donuts and stuff. And I'm still wearing a pair of shorts.
Yeah.
And and the polo shirt and stuff, or whatever I'm wearing, or the dress shirt, depending on what I'm doing. And there they are again. I'm happy as can be. It's like it's cool outside. I can feel it's cool outside.
Yeah.
But it doesn't bother me. But like I'm just like, what? Why? Like, why? You got the headgear on with the palm on top, and then you've got you got a scarf on.
Yeah.
You got snow boots on. Someone came through and walked off to the checkpoint. I was looking over, and I was like, "Are you serious?" This person had snow boots just under the knee, and they had this huge down coat that went down to their knees. And I honestly couldn't tell what gender it was, but that's what you get in the New England area. Is you don't know who's who anymore.
Yeah.
But then this person's got this almost like a maroon color hat. It's like this head skull cap with the palm on top, and then the scarf that wrapped around their whole face. And they got their bag, and they got their giant rolling suitcase to wherever the hell they're going. And I'm just like, I looked at my coworker. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Why is this happening? They're cold. It's like 50 degrees outside. Are they going to the Alps? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm flying to Florida.
It's not that warm in Florida. I've been there. It's not no 400 degrees Fahrenheit down there that you need to be bundled up like that in April in Massachusetts. Whatever. People are weird.
Yeah.
We had one 60-degree day out here last week.
Mm.
The next day, 1/3 of the shop, there's like 30 people in the building that I work in. About 10 of them, maybe 11 or 12, shorts. So many people had shorts on and short sleeve shirts on that we ended up having a meeting the next day where the boss in our area and all the supervisors for the different subgroups were like, if you work around welders, you have to wear pants and a long sleeve shirt. And people were sitting there like they're doing what you're doing. I'm new, and I knew that. If you work by a welder and you have exposed skin, you are getting flash burns when they engage their welding gun.
Mm.
That simple. They even made it a point to tell the story. We had one guy, they're 10-hour shifts. We had one guy a few years ago, didn't wear any arm coverings. 10 hours of welding. When it was done, he had like 3rd-degree burns on his arms. They were like oozing pus welts, and like he was torn up and he couldn't work for a while because of it. And now they don't want to, don't be stupid. You've got to wear at least something like this. You can't really see it, but like when I come home after a shift, my forearms on the outside will be a little pink. Because if while I'm off to the side, 10 feet away from the 2 welders that I work with every day, just polishing things and like finishing up the stuff that we make, I'll still get it. I still get like, if you could get real and close on my face, you would see like I've got little spots on my forehead, especially where the skin is kind of peeling a little bit because flash burns.
Yeah.
So it's gonna get hot in there too in the summer. I'm not looking forward to like May and June, being in a metal shed with no windows and a bunch of guys using high-powered torches and oh, it's gonna be brutal. And I have to wear pants. I'm not allowed to not wear pants because if I wear shorts, I gotta wear dorky socks that come all the way up past my knees. And as a true son of Boston, I'd have to kick my own ass for that.
Tube socks.
Yeah, those knee-high socks with the stripes, stripe of vipers. I'd have to dunk my own head in the toilet if I wore those.
Oh, I'm so glad I've never seen anyone actually wear those in person.
You definitely have, but their pants covered it up.
Oh, well, it's a good thing I didn't see it exposed underneath the pants.
Yeah, that's one of the few benefits of living in New England, and one of the old traditions from my early childhood that are still in play that even the outsiders who come into our area adopt. If you're wearing knee-high socks and shorts, people are going to be like, who brought the cool kid? And you're just going to get like followed and harassed by random people, People be asking you, you're like, oh, when's the 82-83 NBA season start there? Magic Johnson, the fucking dork. Magic Johnson was cool, but knee-high socks, not cool. Unless you're a 19-year-old girl and you're trying to be cutie and sexy, not cool. And even then, since most 19-year-old girls are like 5'3" and weigh as much as I do, 210 pounds, that's not cool. Not cool at all.
Yeah, if she's got, socks that come up to the thigh, and there's a miniskirt, that looks nice. That looks nice.
Can be nice.
Or like even like a dress shirt and a miniskirt. Because actually, I passed by the international terminal, and there were a bunch of girls that were on like a school trip from Japan, and they all had their uniforms on. It was looking just like that, and I was like, oh, isn't that a lovely sight? And then the chicks from Boston walked by. There's this. Oh,
no comparison sometimes.
I weigh about I think I actually weigh about 189, 190 pounds now.
Yep.
Yeah, weighing, half my height, weighing as much as me. Same thing.
That's rough. That's rough.
Oh. And And what's worse is that they don't wash themselves, because I could smell them coming first. I
Well-
could smell them walking around the corner.
Right? Hygiene is a social construct.
Yeah.
If Matt were here, there'd be some embarrassing stories from back in the day in the gardener.
We gotta get him in here and tell those
There's,
stories.
Hey, I did the same thing. When I was in my early to mid-20s, I had a naturalist, individualist phase.
Mhm.
A lot of guys do. It's only, to be honest, it's only dudes like you who spend time in the military that don't do this.
Yeah.
So there are just times where, like, you know, people say things like, I don't believe in deodorant. And then other people will be like, I got news for you, brother. Not that anybody said that to anybody else. All right, we're going to take a short break. I have to go use the bathroom, and we will be right back.
Mhm.
And we are back to wrap up this philosophy and ridiculousness infused episode. So, bring it back to the main point, just to wrap things up. Obviously, any martial art will make the point that your pre-practice preparation is setting the tone for what you're about to do, and you want to take it seriously. But that's as far as most of them go. The internal style of martial arts, part of what you're doing is not just mentally and physically preparing yourself for practice. You're also actually physically embodying the philosophy behind the training methodology and the philosophy that underlies the worldview that created the training philosophy. So, if you're familiar with Taoism, yin-yang theory, Taiji theory, first there's nothingness, then there's Taiji. Taiji generates yin and yang. They interact, and they generate all the things in the universe. The way you begin your practice is the same derivation of the universe, from nothingness to innumerable variation. Except, you know, with the obvious exception that instead of various beings and things, what you're creating is innumerable variations of technique and application. So, as I mentioned before, Sun Lutang's The Study of Xingyi Boxing. You can find this from Plum Publications, either at their website or on Amazon. Excellent book, and I'm not sure if it's really obvious, but this book is older than you, Alex. I've had this book for a long time.
I believe it.
It's been
Most books
repaired a
are
couple
older than you
times.
think.
The spine is all beat up and re-put back together, re-glued and taped together and all that.
Mhm.
This has an excellent layout of what we've been talking about.
Mhm.
5 chapters demonstrated to assuming Santi share. What does it mean? How are you doing it? Bringing you from Wuji all the way to Santi, 3 bodies, 3 powers. There's also a chapter in there about how chi is generated from nothingness, you know, which we also touched lightly on chi in this discussion. Well, there's a bit in there about how Xingyi generates its unique chi. And another book mentioned, Complete Works of Zhuangzi, Burton Watson translation. I highly recommend this. This is my favorite English version. Must-have book. And what Maeko is currently writing on, The 9 Laws, must-have, must-read. Xingyi Chuan, the Sun Lutang Xingyi book is probably the martial arts book that is the closest to the other 2 in the sense that there are more often than not, when I finish it, I will immediately reread it, or at least reread parts of it. Dynamite book. Also, the best, Xingyi Xuan-wise, the best example of a book on martial arts and the practice of martial arts that leans a little more heavily toward philosophy and how philosophy relates to martial arts than say the average martial arts manual. Most manuals, they're not really how-to books. They're just sort of collections of theoretical documents, lists of routines and choreography, stuff like that. But that book is very much meant to display how the highest levels of China's, intellectual culture are identical with and expressed by this high-level martial arts culture. So, books I recommend to everybody, especially you, Alex. You are required to pick up a copy of the Sun Lutang book.
I will pick up a copy.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of Xingyi books, you got that Skill of Xingyi Chuan I sent you? Did you check the Google Drive yet?
Check.
Yeah, there's a book there. I know Matt already downloaded it, but I put it in there. So you check that out.
Let me see. It should be there.
Yeah. Excellent. It's an ebook. It's I think it's PDF format. It's an excellent book on Xingyi.
Let's see. Let me see. I am not seeing it. Drive. Let's see. Shared. Kung Fu content. Open. Li Tianji.
Dead air. Yep. Li Tianji.
Yep. That's getting fucking downloaded.
Dynamite. You'll also notice that there's the draft of something Matt was working on in there, which he sent to me for, it's like the first draft. I want to just like, spelling corrections and stuff like that. So
Nice.
But enough of our internal discussion in dead air. Martial arts are the process of embodying not just ideas about training, ideas about applying fighting techniques. For an advanced martial art, one of the hallmarks is you are embodying a philosophy and a worldview. So that's why, even though I practice multiple martial arts and I've learned a lot of martial arts, so many styles, I always identify myself as a Xingyi man because that's what I am. In my heart, I look at the world the Xingyi way. I think of things the Xingyi way, and that's really how I live my life. So welcome to that world, Alex. You too will be talking shit to people with a completely blank expression. Or even better, that like, you look like a nice guy. I'll punch you in the fucking mouth. It's kind of nice out here today. Do you know what time it is? Hey, I'll fucking kill you. All right. The world of Xingyi shit talk. So, any closing ideas, any thoughts, any questions?
None. Got a lot of work to do.
It never ends. As I've said before,
No, it does not.
If you're not sick, you can rest when you're dead.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Check the links below. sicknesskungfu.com. We're done.
Stupid? No good? With no talent? You shouldn't talk like that. We can fix your problem very quickly.